We would like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of many Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander nations, including those of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. We recognise and celebrate the creativity, beliefs and relationship with the land of the world's oldest living culture.
Hello there everyone, how you doing tonight? My name is Jordan Raskopoulos.
I'm a luck dragon. My name is Farquhar.
And of course, yes, this is Farquhar the Luck Dragon. Welcome everyone to the AGDAs. I'm broadcasting tonight from Aboriginal land, the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. I'm a comedian and I am a variety streamer on Twitch. You know, I stream a lot of different stuff, but I do have a soft spot for retro games and 80s and 90s pop culture, clearly. But also, I got a Zelda tattoo. Yep. See it? So I'm legit. I'm legit gamer. Yeah, pro strats, poggers. Now, as you may or may not have noticed, we are not in a fancy convention centre or ballroom right now. You're probably watching this on Twitch from the comfort of your own luck dragon. It is unfortunate, of course, that the world's situation, has been forcing us to engage in this way. But look, if any industry can have a ripper of a night sitting in front of a computer screen, it's this one. Yeah. And the good thing about the AGDAs being digital is that more people now have an opportunity to see it and see us celebrating the amazing things that are happening in Australian games. Now, this year there was a record number of submissions for the 15 categories. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the awards. We're going to announce the winners. We're going to have a great time celebrating. And in between that, we're going to have some fun. We're going to have a little bit of banter in the chat. You'll play some games and do that sort of thing. And maybe even we'll check out the red carpet arrivals and we see what you're all wearing tonight. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. Pretty fun. Funny? Good. It'd be good. It'd be nice. This is going to be nice. It's going to be a lovely evening. So wherever you are watching, put your feet up, grab yourself, a cheeky little Chardonnay or maybe a Mountain Dew, and let's have a wonderful, wonderful night celebrating Australian game developers. Poggers in the chat. Alrighty, let's kick things off with our first award for tonight, which is for Best Art. Now, obviously, art is super important to a game. A game's style and aesthetic can often be one of the most memorable things about a game. Good art can be breathtaking.
You're breathtaking!
Thank you, Keanu. And year after year, as technology advances and the tools available to games artists become more expansive and more powerful, we see new and daring ways for interactive stories to be presented. And that's not to say that good game art is always more complex. There are many examples of modern day game art where the art is beautiful because it taps into the nostalgia we have for a time when the technology wasn't so capable. So let's have a look at the nominees for Best Art.
The art direction is a really powerful tool for setting the tone and mood of a game. You can infer a lot with just a glance, since there's a sort of established visual language that's been developed over the decades. With Windbound, we wanted to create a world that was lovely and serene, but still had a sense of mystery and a little danger. There's more to establishing the mood than just the art direction, of course. The music, the sound design, the player's interface with their in-game counterpart, they all have their own equally important roles to play in the process, but the art style is the only thing that you can use to communicate all these things at a glance. So it's really important to leverage that as best you can.
In starting off at Route 59 designing characters, I feel really humbled to be able to weave in bits of my own observations from my life here in Australia. The initial intention was to display the more nuanced sides of Australian culture to a global audience. A lot of the art team has had to wear many hats in our development cycle. Seeing each frame come together, each spotlight, each prop hand placed in scene, rifling through enough paperwork to rival a feature-length film. I'm so glad that we were able to finally push the big green button this year after 5 to 6 years of work.
Creating the visuals for Right was one of the main focuses throughout development. There is something so special about seeing your art come to life in a video game, and I've learned just how much of a tangible impact good animation can have on how the game feels. Creating the art for Right was a very organic process. Tile sets for the different areas of the game often began on paper first, as did the game's logo and character. However, I made the rookie error of completely overhauling the art style about halfway through development. As the project continued to progress, I'd grown more and more unhappy with the simple art style I'd chosen. The decision to remake all the art assets mid-development can be very risky, but in this case I think it paid off.
And the winner for Best Art is Necrobarista by Route 59.
I would first of all like to thank some members of the art team, namely Brent Arnold, Joe Liu and Joe Toole for their hard work with art on Necrobarista. I'm so proud of how the team was able to make our game as stylishly cinematic as it is. Creating art in games, especially in Necrobarista's development cycle, it didn't only take the work of skilled artists. I cannot emphasize the strength of dedication, teamwork, and desire to express ourselves genuinely that has allowed Necrobarista to shine in the space it occupies. Necrobarista has taught me many things about being an artist in the winding pathway of game development. In gaining this achievement, I hope to inspire more devs to create more stories to reflect our diverse and original culture. Thank you.
Our next award is for Best Sound. Now, obviously distinct from music, sound is about the environments, the effects, the catchphrases, and those little jingles. Iconic things like and of course, and let's not forget, there is a science to sound design. And there is a reason why the sound of a light kick is somehow less satisfying than the sound of a heavy punch. Or the sound of an arrow going thunk right into the eye of a watcher on Horizon Zero Dawn. There is something immensely satisfying when audio really holds a game together. So here are the nominees for Best Sound.
Roomba is a short game where you play a robot vacuum cleaner defending their house from burglars, Home Alone style. For this game we really wanted to lean on the comedy of having a cute robot vacuum cleaner violently murdering robbers. So we tried to have a fun contrast between the serious dramatic music and violent sound effects clashing against the upbeat cartoony visuals. So there's a lot of dramatic guitar and orchestral music strings and violent sounding explosions. And it was really a challenge to try and nail that juxtaposition without having it seem out of place. So thanks for the nomination. Everyone worked really hard on this project and I think we're all very happy with the result.
Boomerang Fu's combat was heavily inspired by the fight scenes in Hong Kong action movies and anime that I used to watch on SBS when I was a teenager. I loved having the opportunity to mimic the over-the-top abstract sound effects that these old martial arts movies used by creating my own whooshes, punches, slashes, and ping sounds to punctuate the fights in Boomerang Fu. I heavily processed these sound effects to create a hyper-stylized aesthetic that blends bubbly cuteness with the crunchy, bit-crushed noises of arcade fighting game cabinets like Street Fighter and Tekken. I think this adds a level of theatrically video-gamey aggressiveness to Boomerang Fu that contrasts nicely with how cute and carefree the little food characters are, running around their garden world getting chopped up by boomerangs.
You guys have got to get away! You need somewhere to hide, now!
It's like playing a video game.
Yeah, because doing it with imagination too.
Alien Strike is only our second audio play experience, so it's always a learning curve in how the experiences are developed. Nathan Nisbet created the sound design for Alien Strike. So Nathan, did you have any favourite bits?
I guess my favourite bit would be able to incorporate some of my favourite synthesizers into it. That's the good thing of it being somewhat sci-fi. I can use all my synths. Sound design is not something that I normally do. I'm normally an electronic music producer. It's hard to say what's new or innovative. I just applied a lot of the techniques I use for when I'm making music and what I think sounds cool.
And the winner for Best Sound goes to Alien Strike from Audio Play.
You guys have got to get away! You need somewhere to hide, now!
Audio Play is a very new kind of game using sound to reimagine real-world play. We are really thrilled to be recognised through these awards for the audio content we're creating. Alien Strike is our first experience for one player, and it's based on new original content. So we're constantly learning, constantly evolving this game form. It was really great to be able to collaborate with electronic music producer Nathan Nisbet on the sound design for Alien Strike. He has really elevated the experience. The sound design drives the emotional journey and takes the player deep into the story world. A huge thank you to the whole Audio Play team for their phenomenal efforts in getting Alien Strike out into the world. Zoe Pepper, Nathan Nisbet, Ari Wilshire, Henry Inglis, you guys are amazing. I would also like to thank the great supporters that we've had along the way, from Tristan Forbes, Helen Simonson, Diva Naldell, and the teams at ACME, the City of Melbourne, West Australian Department of Culture and the Arts, and Sound Hub Denmark. We really appreciate your very generous support. Thank you.
The Australian games industry continues to grow and foster new talents. Every year, more and more designers are taking their first steps. And some of the games that are being made by students or people early in their career, they're pretty good. And they're already making an impact in the industry. Which, to be honest with you, is frightening in any industry. Yeah, seeing talented young people making good things with all their neuroplasticity and strong knees. So, for many, just finishing your first game is hard enough and worthy of an award. Making something good? Gosh, impressed. The next award is for Best Emerging Game, and the nominees are
I started making Quantum Suicide when I had played all the titles I could find in the niche genre of punishment-style death games, and decided that instead of complaining there was no more games to play, I would simply create one and add to the genre myself. And thus the journey began. I started with a basic narrative structure and demo, hit Kickstarter, and now here we are. What an amazing journey it's been. The most challenging part of starting my game-making journey was not having a background in game development, or art, or programming, or really anything particularly useful. And that was the most challenging, and continues to be, but it was also the most fun. I'm currently just learning what I need to on a day-to-day basis to get the results I'm after. In the past few years, I've learned so much just out of necessity that I'm really excited to see what else I can make in future now with all of my learned knowledge.
Ripe began as a learning project for me. I'd been wanting to make video games for years, and being a huge fan of platformers, it seemed like a great choice for my first game. Initially, I aimed to have a finished game after 3 months of part-time work. However, it would end up being about a year and a half before I finally got to hit that release button. Developing and releasing Ripe has been a hugely rewarding experience for me. With Ripe being my first attempt at making a video game, the list of challenges and setbacks was nearly endless. I had almost no programming experience at the beginning of development, and that proved to be the biggest ongoing hurdle. Ripe would not exist if it were not for YouTube tutorials, as well as some help from a couple of experienced programmers. Seeing a self-directed solo project such as this through to completion can be a very difficult thing, but it has also been extremely worthwhile. From here, I hope to continue making games for many years to come. I'm absolutely in love with the process, and I find it immensely satisfying to see my ideas come to life.
Creating this game has been the biggest and most transformative journey I've faced. The game explores my experiences moving out of home at the age of 15 and finding myself in a dark and scary world. Eldon's journey is a grim reflection of my own. It was essential for me to put my experiences in perspective, and also to explore my feelings in my own way. Eldon's development started all the way back in 2015 as my final project while studying a Bachelor of Game Development at SAE Institute, Melbourne, and has been a project of passion for the last 4+ years, and has taken me to places I never thought I'd see. Being here today represents years of work and constant progression, along with the endless support of those around me, and I couldn't be more grateful for the continued support.
The winner of Best Emerging is Right by Pond Games.
Hello again, this is Daniel, the developer behind Right. Thank you so much for naming Right as the best emerging game this year. Developing the game has been one of the most rewarding things I have done, and I feel incredibly fortunate to receive such recognition for my first project. Thank you to everyone who helped Right come into existence. I'd like to give a special thank you to Joe for your programming help and advice throughout development, to Shortbread for your fantastic work getting some post-launch updates out, and of course to Grand Prize Big Fuzz for doing such an amazing job with the soundtrack. The game would be so much less without those banging tunes. And finally, thank you to the team behind the Australian Game Developer Awards, and once again to the judging panel for naming Right the best emerging game for 2020.
Now, our next award tonight is for...
Get over here! Finish him! Scorpion wins. Fatality. Round 2. Fight!
Yuck. As I was saying, our next award tonight is for Rising Star. Now, while the previous awards were for a specific game or game's product, this one is about the people making those games. The whippersnappers with the knees that I mentioned earlier. There's new talent popping up every day, and people from all walks of life have access to the tools to make games these days. This award, though, is not just for a personal achievement, but also those who raise up the people around them and champion a just cause. Folks who are making great things, but are also set to become industry leaders in the future. And this year, we have 2 winners in the category. So the 2020 Rising Stars are Meredith Hall and Jarrod Farquhar-Nicol.
Hi! Thank you so much for this. I am so humbled. Thank you to AGDAs for putting on this incredible event in a really tough year. Raylene, Ron, Yen, Sav, Kerry, some of my dearest friends and absolute advocates for our sector. Whoever nominated me, you cheeky devil, what are you doing? The other awardees, congratulations. My mentors and friends, Liam Esler, because we'll get to Route, Jason, Lauren, Cherie, Kamina, John, Joe, Cass B, Damon, Alana, Ali, Chair, Lucy, Callum, so many more. Outside of Australia, Nadia, Star, the whole Aconite team, Joe Lammett, Egg Gang, producers and leaders around the world who have shared their time with me selflessly and kindly. Thank you for your patience with me and your kindness. The Accessibility Unlocked team, especially Cameron Calanzala, Film Victoria, Mads, Denise, all the people I get to work closely with so much, who care so deeply for this industry and who in turn have cared so deeply for me and supported my growth and learning. And of course, Liam, who has been a tireless advocate, manager, mentor, friend. You were so kind to me my first year in industry when I had fears and questions. I wouldn't be in this industry now, let alone receiving an award, if it wasn't for that kindness and validation and feeling seen and heard by you and so many others. I'm so grateful to know you and your wonderful family and work with you. It has changed my life for the better. Mum and Dad, thank you for supporting and encouraging me to be the daughter that works in video games and now having to explain that to people we know. To my best friend Beck for keeping me sane. My partner Bam for making me laugh every day. I love you. To all of you, most of all, I cannot believe this is my career. I feel so, so blessed. Lifting each other up is a responsibility, not an option, and I just want to lift as many of you as I can the way you all have for me. I am indebted and privileged to be part of your journeys in ways big and small every day, and all I ever want to do is be worthy of that. I wish I could hug and fist bump every single one of you. I'm so proud of how well you've all handled this year and continued to care for each other and forged forward, making incredible games. Be excellent to each other. I love you. I can't wait to see you. Thank you so, so much.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. It's a real honor to be receiving the Rising Star Award. Thank you to everyone who nominated me and to the judging committee. I love the games industry so much, and to see that reflected back through the community via this award is really heartwarming and gratifying. Thank you. I've loved games all my life, and it's been a real, just a true privilege and a joy to become so immersed in the industry over the past few years and to help it grow. From my home in Canberra to Adelaide, Sydney, Melbourne, and beyond, from solo devs to huge studios, it's been so good meeting so many of you amazing, talented, creative people that make this industry the incredible industry it is. It's been so exciting welcoming you into new co-working spaces across the country and being welcomed into your communities in turn. I really enjoy running events, and seems like you'll enjoy showing up to them. So you keep showing up, I keep running them. Seems like it's working pretty well. I've seen so much connection and collaboration through and new opportunities through those sorts of gatherings. I love seeing that. At the last big event I ran, a young woman came up to me not even halfway through and said that she'd been really struggling to find a mentor in her specific field, but had found one through this event. And that's just so special to me. If that had been the only positive thing to come out of it, there were tons more, but if that had been the only thing, that would have been a full success. So I'm just really here for that. I live for that sort of thing. Anytime I can connect you with people, resources, opportunities that can boost what you do and support what you do, and just help you do what you do best, let me know. I'm up for it. I'm so thankful to all of you in the games community. You mean the world to me, and we're just getting started together. Keen to keep building the community, running events, and bringing people together. Got to give a special shout out to CanDev, the absolutely amazing Canberra game development community. You're always punching above your weight. We started several years ago with Pizza and Pixels in a demountable building, and we now have over 700 members and still growing. Thanks to all of you. Thank you to my team at Game Plus and all our members across all our co-working space locations. I wouldn't be able to do what I do and what I love without you. Thank you. Thank you to my wife Suzanne for your endless advice, love, and support. Thanks, Sis. I love you. And thank you, lastly, to the teams from AGDA, GCAP, and the Australian Game Developer Awards Judging Committee for your support and recognition. I can't thank you enough for this honour, and I can't wait to continue the work that has been recognised with the Rising Star Award tonight. Thank you very much.
Now, obviously, there are different parts to games. You know, we've got the sound and the art and the music and the story. But what is a game without gameplay? A book or a movie. It's gotta have gameplay to be a game. It's gotta be fun.
If it's not fun, why bother?
Exactly, Reggie, exactly. Why bother with a book? Books are no fun. Now, obviously, designers and programmers make up the bulk of the games industry, so it should be no surprise that this next category is a hotly contested award. The nominees for Best Gameplay are...
So best gameplay, this is a good one for moving out. We're definitely a mechanically driven studio at SMG, where the gameplay and the mechanics come first, and then we marry that up with a really nice aesthetic and story. And the core mechanic itself of moving out came about when we partnered with Jon from Sweden, who had a prototype that we really liked, and needed a lot of help, bringing it to life and bringing it to market. And so we jumped on board for the last 2 years. And through that we did quite an extensive testing process where we had over 130 external recorded gameplay tests, and we'd kind of watch those as a group and kind of digest and kind of tune the game to be for maximum fun. And I think the fun element is what will make the game timeless. Whether you're young, old, or regardless of your abilities, if you're able to have fun with the game, then that's what's important to us. So thanks again for the nomination. It means a lot to us and the team.
The inspiration for the core mechanic in Baron came from an old DOS dogfighting game we used to play, with 4 people all huddled around one keyboard. We wanted to take that idea and improve it and make it more accessible for modern players. We took inspiration from a wide variety of party games, We always focus on the mechanic before the aesthetic. If something wasn't fun even with rudimentary graphics, we'd cut it out and work on something else. That said, it's an iterative process. Sometimes an aesthetic would lead to an idea for the gameplay, which would lead to more ideas for the aesthetic.
Boomerang Fu is a party game that was forged through playtesting. I greyboxed the entire game out of coloured squares and started showing it off at local game dev meetups and parties, so I could learn through observation what kept people playing, what surprised them, and what made them laugh. As a result, every aspect of Boomerang Fu's gameplay and UX is focused on being inviting for newcomers. The controls are simple, using only one stick and 3 buttons. Every player starts with one boomerang and can be killed in a single hit. And I avoided in-game UI as much as possible, so most of the action can be read by seeing what's happening in-world, rather than looking at health bars or ammo counters. This makes it easy to learn the basics of Boomerang Fu, while leaving plenty of room for returning players to discover advanced techniques.
Alright, the award for best gameplay goes to Boomerang Fu by Cranky Watermelon.
Thank you so much for this award. It's a tremendous honour. I've been in the crowd and cheered at previous AGDA awards ceremonies, but I never imagined that a little game of mine would be up on the stage one day. There are so many people who helped me make Boomerang Fu, from the friends who patiently taught me how to program, to my partner Maddie, who played the game with me every night until I finally wrote an AI that I could fight against to give her a break. But I'd particularly like to thank my wonderful team of artists who helped me bring Boomerang Fu to life. Julian Wilton, Gavin Custers, David Smith, Taya Godson, Nick Cellini, Rose Hammer, and Julian Sanchez. These are all incredibly talented people who probably live around the corner from you in Melbourne, Sydney, or Adelaide, and you should jump at any opportunity you get to work with them. And finally, a huge thank you to the AGDA judges for this award, and to everyone in the Sydney game dev community who playtested Boomerang Fu with me over the years. It wouldn't be the game it is today without your help, honesty, and encouragement. Thank you.
Okay, alright, enough silly buggers. This is a serious awards night for serious awards. And the next award is the most serious award of all. The Serious Award for Best Serious Game. It's a very serious award. Because not all games are fun.
If it's not fun, why bother?
Well, Reggie, catharsis. Catharsis is why we bother. Very rude. Sometimes it can be good to play a game that challenges our emotions or our worldview. Experiencing a tragic story or a story of grief, history, or oppression can help us connect our emotions and experiences to the emotions and experiences of others. Games can do more than just entertain, they can nourish our minds and souls and help us to learn, grow, empathise, and understand. Sometimes it is helpful to know that other people feel the same way we do. And sometimes it's helpful to hear the stories of people who have very different experiences to ours. Making a serious game has its own set of unique challenges, and it takes incredibly intelligent design to suspend a player in an environment with a more serious tone. The nominees for Best Serious Game are
Serious games have the power to bring attention to new topics and provide our players with new information. And when we add the game element to that, it allows the players to experience the things we want to teach them about firsthand. And I think that's incredibly powerful. And I think sometimes that can be a lot more convincing about certain things than, traditional media. So that's what I think is impactful about serious games.
This is Kangazoo, a serious game where you explore Australia and discover all of our unique flora and fauna. Serious games can be fun, inspiring, and moving works of art, but they also have the ability to help us solve some of the most complex challenges we are currently facing.
There is a lot of work that goes into a game like this, and for me the most enjoyable part was right at the start, from going from an idea of how do we engage people with Australia through our wildlife, to designing the initial game mechanics and gameplay, and seeing the game come to life is really rewarding and satisfying.
think a serious game is made impactful not only by the nature of the themes it features, but also how it features them. An impactful serious game is a game that is confident in its delivery. It ideally also leaves space for the player to emotionally insert themselves in, which allows them to engage themselves with the game and its themes in a more active, conscious, deliberate, and personal way. As game development becomes more and more accessible to anyone who wants to explore video games as a medium, perhaps the future of serious games could be games that aren't just educational in the literal sense, but they can be an occasion for people to learn about themes and stories you don't usually hear that are made by people you don't usually hear from, however personal or universal.
And the Serious Award for Best Serious Game, it goes to Carnaquest from Not Dead Design.
This is a little surreal. I'd like to thank a few people who made this possible. I'd like to thank Film Victoria for believing in Carnaquest and funding it so that it could be everything it could be. I'd also like to thank Whitethorn Digital for trusting me that Carnaquest is a good product and being willing to publish it to various yet unannounced platforms. To Ryosuke Nagao, thank you, and all the translation game jammers for translating Carnaquest. Without you, Carnaquest would only exist in English, but thanks to you, to all of your efforts, Carnaquest is now fully translated into 19 languages, which is amazing. To Maddie Rose, thank you so much for guiding me through the process of actually selling this silly thing. Definitely know without you I would have been a complete disaster, so thank you so much for all your patience and walking me through the whole thing. My two wonderful composers, Julian Sanchez aka Zorsi-san and Lena Burton, and I cannot stress this to all the game devs listening, hire these two, because I will not be surprised if either one of them compose an award-winning game in the future. To the many people who playtested the game, gave me advice, or endured me asking them desperately to please retweet the Carnaquest trailer, thank you so much. In particular, I'd like to thank Alexander Perrin and Goldie Bartlett. The two of you gave me really critical advice at the very start of this project that encouraged me to keep working on it, and without either of your help, I can say with a fair amount of certainty I would have given up. So thank you so much. To my family who supported me working on this thing for the last 3 years, thank you so much for your patience, understanding and support. Chris, Luke, Katie, Margie, Raoul, Warren, Morgan and Danny, who all helped me exhibit the game at various conventions. Without you, I would have easily overdone it and dropped dead in the middle of a convention centre. My long-suffering programmer Ruben. There are no words. I don't think I could have asked for a single person to give more to this project than you have. This game simply would not exist without you. Thank you so much. Finally, to Lisa, thank you for being an absolute menace. You are the most wonderful partner I could possibly ask for. You've kept me grounded and encouraged me constantly throughout the creation of Carnaquest, and I count myself immensely lucky that I get to be a part of your life. Thank you so much.
Welcome to the Matrix. Let me tell you why you are here.
Let me tell you why you're here.
No, I was doing that.
You're here because you know something.
Thanks, Morpheus. No, you're here because we're giving out the award for Best Augmented Reality or Virtual Reality Game. Thank you. Now, obviously, VR and AR, their games have been around for a while. But they've seemed to really been hitting their stride the last couple of years, particularly as hardware has become available to more and more people. And it seems like this part of the industry is just getting warmed up. The future of AR and VR is very, very exciting.
Let me tell you why you're here.
Why are you doing it again?
You're here because you know something.
The nominees for Best AR/VR are...
And so I suppose what part of the experience did we enjoy the most? Look, the whole thing. I mean, creating a video game is probably one of the funnest jobs ever. It's also very stressful, but building a team and having such a core group of awesome people working on this one vision was so much fun. There was lots of late nights, lots of pizzas, lots of hard work, but just getting to work with like-minded people on something creative with a shared vision of what we were trying to achieve. And Aspire is a pretty ambitious game for the platform as far as what we wanted to try and do with the hardware, and we were really pushing in wireless VR to its limits with the Quest, being kind of pretty new tech. So it was a lot of hard work, but it was a lot of fun developing for that platform and just working with such an awesome team on it. So that's probably my highlight.
One thing I really loved about working on the game was coming up with ridiculous ideas for power-ups and the team's Friday afternoon playtesting sessions. At the end of every week, someone would playtest the new features we'd worked on over video, and it was always really awesome to see what we'd made coming together, especially because a big part of our production happened while we were all working remotely.
Welcome to your first stop. I'll give you a secret if you give me a penny.
So what was our inspiration for using AR? Well, we love true crime and historical true crime in particular. And AR is really the perfect way to bring those characters back to life, to interact with them and to uncover the amazing true stories that happened over 100 years ago that a lot of people had never even heard of.
And the winner of Best AR/VR Game is Shooty Skies Overdrive from Mighty Games Group.
Thank you very much. This is a wonderful honour, and it feels really good. We're incredibly proud of the game. It's taken quite a long time to get out, and I'd like to thank Matt Hall and Film Victoria, without their support, we never would have gotten it out the door. The original Shooty Skies came out almost 5 years ago now, and it's been wonderful to revisit all of that material and bring it up to speed in this brand new form. It brought back a lot of really great memories, and it really made us feel like every Mighty employee who's been through the door has contributed a bit to getting this game out. A little piece of them is in all of it. So thank you very much. We had a wonderful time building it. It was a lot of fun, and we hope that everyone who plays it has a wonderful time playing it. Thanks again, and have a great night, or day, or whenever you're watching this, because it's the internet, so who knows. Thanks.
Our next award tonight is the Game Connect Award. Now, this is an award for a trailblazer in the developer community, someone who is in it for everyone, who goes above and beyond to help foster talent and help people move forward. Someone who is innovating and achieving success in a unique way. A leader, a best friend, a brain, an athlete, a basket case, a princess, a criminal, and a winner. The winner. The winner of this year's Game Connect Award is Ella Macintyre.
Wow. Thank you to the judges and my colleagues for nominating me. That was very kind of them. Very exciting, very humbling. I didn't ever think that I would have a career in the games industry, but I feel very lucky to have found the development community in Australia. I think one of the things that I really love about working in games is, and like what's kept me here basically, is seeing our players play our games and love playing our games, and coming to work and seeing our team succeed. And at Mighty Kingdom, I'm in a really privileged position to see both of that happen quite often. And that's really, I think, thanks to Philip Mays for opening the door to the industry for me and so many others, and really vocalizing those values of inclusivity every day, and sort of championing collaboration and openness every day. That's been, he's really set the tone for my career and how I want to operate within the industry. And I think also I have to thank Tony Lawrence for helping us actually put those values into practice, especially in what has been a very, very difficult year this year. Thanks again.
Alrighty everyone, the next award is for Best Music. Now, Keith Richards once said, "Music is a language that doesn't speak in particular words. It speaks in emotions. And if it's in the bones, it's in the bones." And look, I am a big, big fan of skeletons. So, thank you, Keith Richards. Now, games are arguably one of the most difficult storytelling mediums to compose for. People who compose for film, audio, drama, or television have the rhythm of the scenes and performances already paced out. But for games, those rhythms are created by the player. The music needs to evoke the right emotions at the right times and lift the impact of the game to new heights without overwhelming everything else that's going on with the experience. The nominees for Best Music are...
We knew that we had 5 biomes that would each need their own musical identity, and so Daniel had set out a general direction with motive keywords and a general pacing for each of them. For reference, we had some key Super Nintendo soundtracks and a couple of contemporary artists to inspire the direction. We decided that rather than going for full chiptune, we would create a hybrid of modern electronic, retro and acoustic instruments. This was really exciting for me because I'd never worked so heavily with non-orchestral, non-acoustic elements, and so it provided a challenge to really blend all of that into something coherent.
My knowledge of music theory is extremely rudimentary, and that's why I opted to keep it simple. 4 pitch tracks, no drums, minor key, slow tempo. It was like a game in itself, trying to translate my own feelings into sounds. The end result of that synthy musical exploration is this melancholic yet quietly hopeful track that matches the themes of the game.
When we started development on Baron, we didn't really have a plan for the music. With Baron's low budget, we figured we would just buy a backing track online and that would be good enough. However, as development progressed, we realised that the music could be used to capture the spirit of the First World War era in a really entertaining way. I went on YouTube and listened to some popular songs from the era to get a sense of how music sounded in those days. One weekend I wrote the words for a silly little song called Cartoon Animal. Pushing my musical abilities to the limit, I tapped out a melody with one finger on a second-hand keyboard. I sent the result to family friend and professional musician Sean Lillico. Sean immediately understood what was required and within a matter of days returned a complete professionally recorded, arranged and performed song. The result was exactly what we wanted for Baron.
And the award for Best Music goes to... Right! From Pond Games.
I just wanted to thank the AGDA and the judging panel for the nomination, and thank you so much for selecting the right soundtrack for the Best Music Award. That's amazing. Even though it's a relatively small indie game, we worked really hard to make sure the soundtrack could be as good as it could possibly be, and it's been a really positive experience seeing so many people talk about the soundtrack and the game and how much they're enjoying it. So thanks again for the nomination and the win, and yeah, it's just all been so fantastic.
Games are an incredibly unique storytelling medium because they are interactive. Books and films can tell amazing stories and build a sense of empathy for a viewer, but a game can build an even greater sense of connection by giving the player agency in the story. But of course, giving players agency in an interactive medium sometimes means writing and creating so many possibilities. The level of detail that goes into writing some narrative-focused games is absolutely mind-boggling. And games as a medium have such a varied and global reach, and those out there telling Australian stories through games are reaching audiences all over the globe. Here are the nominees for Best Narrative.
Most games are an enormous, infinitely complex mess of moving parts. For a narrative-driven game to succeed in its goals, it's essential that every single component works together harmoniously, no matter how insignificant it might seem. UI, animation, technical art, gameplay design, everything needs to contribute to storytelling.
For Necrobarista, it's immediately clear that all of these facets are an important and essential part of the gameplay experience, and it's been an honour to work with a team so dedicated to bringing a story to life.
Quantum Suicide is the result of three main inspirations: my love of quantum fiction and the possibilities of the multiverse, the idea that your life is on the line and a game over screen is just seconds away from a wrong choice, and what some people are possible of when either they're in love or heartbroken. Combining the three is what makes Quantum Suicide Quantum Suicide. What looks to be a game about a killer AI and the crew's somewhat willingness to partake in murder is actually deep down a love story, albeit realised through a little bloodshed. Okay, maybe a lot of bloodshed.
Under a Star-Called Sun is a story about grief. It's also a gift to a friend of mine who passed away last year. The story is inspired and influenced by the things I felt, the words I wrote down, while processing that grief. The sci-fi setting lends itself well for stories about loneliness, homesickness, and connection, which is why I naturally adopted it. The story I tell in Under a Star-Called Sun is of grief, but also of resilience, endurance, carrying on. I made the game for myself and for my friends who miss our departed friend, but upon releasing it, it became a game for anyone going through similar feelings.
And the winner of Best Narrative is Under a Star-Called Sun from Cecile Richard.
Under a Star-Called Sun means so much to me. It's the first game for which I made music, on top of writing and making art. I made this game for the people I love, and then it became a game that people love. Making a game about grief isn't easy, but I'm glad I did. I'm really proud of this game, and I have a few people to thank. Without them, this game would have been either completely different or wouldn't exist in the first place. I'd first like to shout out the good folks at Liminal Magazine for trusting me with this project and giving me the opportunity to publish it. It's a privilege to be standing where I am, at the exciting intersection between games, literature, and art. I'd of course also like to thank all my friends. This time in particular, I want to thank Ruslan for being an excellent friend during the short time we knew each other, Mia for always giving me precious advice in art and life, and Andy for being the most supportive partner and best friend I could ever ask for. Finally, I want to thank the Bitsy community for being such a positive and supportive space for me and others to grow as people and artists and game makers. I feel so fortunate for the communities I'm part of, in Melbourne and online. I wouldn't trade this for anything else. You know who you are. Of course you do. In a year that's been filled with strangeness, loneliness, and grief, I hope that Under a Star-Called Sun brings people a bit of comfort, determination, and the promise of resilience. I hope that someone somewhere plays this game and thinks, maybe I could make a game too, and goes on to make a game. I hope that the future holds some good surprises for all of us. I think that would be really nice. Thank you very much.
The mobile games industry continues to grow at a phenomenal pace and represents a massive portion of the global industry. Just about everybody who owns a phone has some kind of game on it. Except my dad. He always has the latest phone and upgrades whenever a new one comes out. He doesn't have any apps. No apps on his phone. I don't know. My dad's a jock. Yeah, he was a soccer player. He's a good soccer player. He captained the Socceroos at one point. Anyway, he has no apps. But look, everyone else has a game on their phone. Everyone but my dad. And designing mobile games requires finesse. It's got to be engaging, but it can't be too immersive sometimes because people need to pick it up and put it down when they need to. Plus, phones don't really have buttons anymore. So, you got to make games that don't use the buttons. That's tough. It can be very tough. Here's the nominees for Best Mobile.
Making a family-friendly cooperative game which always ends with every player being wiped out, but at the same time encourages them to want to keep playing together and not start any fights, turned out to be quite tricky to make. And we tried a lot of things, but I think a key turning point was once we made it so that anyone could get to the end of the stage to progress, and everyone would be alive again on the next level when they did that. Because suddenly we had this magic place where players who died on a level would still be cheering on the rest of their family, and less skilled players were coming along for the ride too and having fun rather than feeling left out. When we first brought a family in to test the game after we made that change, the office was filled with the sound of them cheering and laughing, and it started to feel like we were really hitting the mark we wanted to hit.
Pico Tanks originally began life as an endless runner and was inspired by some of the games we grew up with. Since then, development has been quite organic, and Pico Tanks has grown into the cute and quirky multiplayer game that it is today. Although the initial inspiration was from other games, our aspiration for Pico Tanks was to be fun and engaging.
Ballistic Baseball came from a concept where we wanted a baseball game that was fun, fast, simple, and specifically made for mobile. We wanted something that had a live PvP baseball experience that focused on the batter-pitcher duels, the head games that go on between the batter and the pitcher specifically. We really wanted to create those mind games and duels that occur between the batter and the pitcher specifically.
And the award for Best Mobile Game goes to Crossy Road Castle from Hipster Whale.
Firstly, thank you to the AGDA judging panel, to the GDAA and IGA teams. Persevering and putting all of GCAP and the awards together in 2020, we really appreciate it. I wanted to say thanks also to Apple and the Apple Arcade team for making a platform that created the opportunity to make Crossy Road Castle, but also for letting us stick to our creative vision through the process. They really let us make the game we wanted to make. And of course, a huge thank you to the whole of the Hipster Whale team who made this game come to life, from a silly little drawing I did on an ice cream box and the very simple idea of a game that brings people together and makes them laugh together. There were, of course, moments where we weren't sure we were going to be able to pull off what we wanted to pull off. And there's a fair amount of expectation when you're playing with an IP as beloved and widely known as Crossy Road. So thanks also to Matt and Andy for letting us take the Crossy Chicken for a hop into a new game. Again, thank you. This really means a lot to us coming from our local games community.
Welcome to the Technodrome. Our next award is for Best Ongoing Game. Now this is a newer category, and it largely represents the changing nature of the industry. Time was, you made a game, you released a game, maybe you released an expansion a while down the track. But now many games are ongoing services, and are constantly expanding, developing, and updating, giving players new experiences for years and years. The ingenuity that keeps game worlds fresh and engaging is remarkable and worthy of an award. This award. The nominees for Best Ongoing. Here they are.
A lot of different people have poured their talents and efforts into Piffle over the years, but director Matt Ditton gave a talk about the game a couple of years ago at Games Week when we first launched, and we feel it expresses a lot of the things the game has meant to us over the last 2 years, especially now.
It's made from a place of, life's pretty difficult, and fun things are important. So if you make something that makes people laugh, there's a lot of value to that, and yeah, that's kind of my approach.
We set out to make a fun game that we hope people would enjoy. We've also recently adapted and launched the game on Nintendo Switch, so check it out. We're really pleased you've been enjoying Piffle, and we're thrilled to receive this nomination.
There will be 20 vehicles on the battlefield. The objective is simple: be the last hunter standing.
Games like World of Tanks are constantly having to adapt and improve. They cannot rest on their laurels. They cannot simply accept when enough is enough, because by offering a game as a service, you must continue to improve and refine the game in order to appeal and, reciprocate the appreciation and passion that the community has given your title for so many years. And I think that challenge is something that I will never get tired of, and something that will continue to drive me with ongoing titles.
Escort clear zone intact.
The thing that makes developing an ongoing game so rewarding is the community. Their engagement and their feedback is really important to us as a studio. When we deliver a feature or a story or an iconic ship that the community has been asking for, they get very excited. It creates this positive feedback loop between us and the people playing the game. When we first launched BSG Deadlock in 2017, we didn't really know how it was going to be received by the fans. We quickly found that players enjoyed the game but had plenty of suggestions for other things they wanted to see.
And the winner of Best Ongoing is World of Tanks from Wargaming Sydney.
There will be 20 vehicles on the battlefield. The objective is simple: be the last hunter standing.
I am incredibly humbled and honoured to be accepting the award for Best Ongoing Title on behalf of World of Tanks and Wargaming Sydney. I feel like a bit of an imposter giving this speech, as I've only been a part of the Wargaming team for the past 3 years, and of course the reason why World of Tanks is receiving this award tonight extends for many, many years before that date. But I think that's also part of why Wargaming and World of Tanks are both incredible games and an incredible studio to work for, because World of Tanks has been such a successful title for so long. It has allowed people like me and many others to come in after the game has released and be able to play all but a small part in such an incredible story, and be one of the many, many influences on such an amazing journey that World of Tanks has taken over the past 10 years. Thank you very, very much on behalf, again, of World of Tanks and Wargaming Sydney. This is an immense honour, and I couldn't be more appreciative and blown away. Thank you so much.
Okay, folks, we are now at the business end of the night. There's 3 awards to go, and this next one is the most prestigious. The Adam Lancman Award recognises a lifetime of achievement in games. You know, this is like getting a star on the Hollywood Boulevard, or like being inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame, or it's like getting your photo on the wall of a Mexican restaurant because you ate the 2-kilo burrito and didn't vomit. This is basically the award for the best person ever. And for people who knew Adam, they knew him as the best person ever. Adam Lancman shaped the Australian games industry. And just about everyone watching tonight has benefited directly or indirectly from his leadership. Throughout the 80s and 90s, he travelled extensively promoting this industry. He was appointed the first president of the GDAA in 1999 and laid the groundwork for where the industry is today. He worked with government to educate and open pathways for games to be recognised as a creative industry, not just an entertainment one, and as something relevant to our society and economy. In memory of Adam's work and advocacy, this award is for people who have achieved long-term excellence in games, especially those who have dedicated their expertise to lighting the way for others. The loss of intergenerational knowledge or expertise is a risk for any industry or group. And sometimes it's hard to recognise the many, many things that we take for granted that were fought for by those who came before us. I encourage you all tonight, as we remember Adam, to learn about our histories and think about the shoulders we stand on. The winner of the Adam Lancman Award is Jane Turner.
Hello, darlings. Thank you very much. I think that's what I've got to say. This is like quite an extraordinary honour, and so in true style, I thought I'd better invite you into my kitchen so that we could share the honour with a glass of beer, and I could blame you lot for putting me in this position where I've sort of got to come stand in front of a camera, which I'm not very good at. I don't know what to say. Thank you. I'm just like completely gobsmacked and honoured and yeah. I would like to blame the extraordinary community actually that I love, who I adore and who I have known for so long and who I've just loved watching explode into marvellousness. And I would like to kind of cheerfully say, I think this award is your fault and I'd like you to accept it with me. And I'd like to thank all of the people that nominated me, and I'd like to thank the Australian Game Developers Association for being crazy enough to invite me to come and do a video saying thank you, which is like really, really embarrassing, and I feel so overwhelmed, and let's not go there. And yeah, I think I'd like to thank all of you lot. You're just extraordinary. You're absolutely amazing. I completely don't know what to say. Thank you very much. You are awesome. I love you. I do not think that anything could be better than the extraordinary community that I've been part of for a number of years now, who have always just been amazing, done amazing things, and exploded into the sky like extraordinary fireworks. And even now, when everything is like a bit weird and a bit upside down, and you're still extraordinary. Thank you.
Running a successful and ever-growing studio is one of the hardest things you can do. And studios who can grow sustainably while actively giving back to helping those around them, who contribute positively to the industry as a whole and provide opportunities to individuals, deserve recognition. The 2020 AGDA Award for Studio of the Year goes to League of Geeks.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for this award. It's so moving and emotional to win something like this. All of us pour so much of our souls into the studio, and amongst such amazing peers in the industry, all these studios across Australia are lifting the bar of game making, the quality of life at the studio, but also the quality of the games we make. So a huge thank you to all our peers as well.
Yep, absolutely. I want to second that. It's a huge honor. And just that we're like mega proud of what everyone else is doing around the industry too. Blake's right. You keep us on our toes, and it's super inspiring to be just seeing how much a local industry is thriving, and it fills us with motivation to just keep doing better and living up to all your expectations every single day.
Yeah, that's very true. I also, it takes a team to make a studio. So I wanted to say that we're really proud of the whole team and what they've achieved over the years. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Stay out. I say see ya.
Honestly, I think we got it, but let's just do a couple more.
Yeah, I think it was a great round. Let's do one more.
Alrighty, here we are. The final award for tonight. You all know what it is. Game of the Year. The best game. The top dog. The number one, the numero uno, the finest game, the 24-carat game, the ultimate super alpha EX plus game turbo. There were a record number of submissions for this category, the most competitive game of the year in AGDA history. Still, there can be only one winner. The creme de la creme game. A game that not only impressed the judges, but made an impact on the industry locally and internationally. A game that stands for all time as a testament to how incredible the Australian games industry can be. Here are the nominees for Game of the Year.
Boomerang Foo is my first game as a solo designer and developer. I say solo, but I've had the pleasure of working with a fantastic crew of freelance indie game artists from Sydney, Melbourne and Adelaide who helped me bring the game to life. The art director, Julian Wilton, and I met at a game jam 7 years ago, but we lost touch until he saw me demoing my boxy prototype of Boomerang Foo at a local game dev meetup in 2018. He'd just finished The Adventure Pals and said he was excited to art direct a game that he already loved in its most basic form. Neither of us had any experience in 3D art though, so we reached out to several Australian indie game developer groups, and we recruited Gavin Custers, David Smith, Taya Godson, Nick Cellini and Rose Hammer to help us out. And they added their own personal touches to Boomerang Foo's cute characters and deadly arenas. Boomerang Foo was a fun little side project for all of us at various points, which is why it took 5 years to make, but I think we've built something great together with our combined spare time. I originally set out to create a party game that brings people together in an era when we're figuratively kept apart by technology and culture. A global pandemic is now literally keeping us apart, but it's been fantastic to hear so many stories of couples, families and friends who are locked down together enjoying Boomerang Foo in their homes. And I hope it's brought some laughs to people who really need them right now.
Somebody once told me that to make a good game, you have to figure out what the most important parts of the game is, and make sure those work. But to make a great game, every aspect of the game needs to excel, and every aspect needs to fit snugly together like a glove. I think that was Rami. I think Rami Ismail told me that, but don't quote me. Necrobarista started as a student project out of RMIT. I was in second year at the time. We ended up in one of RMIT's startup programs, which really helped connect us with recent graduates. 6 out of the 8 core members of the current team are from RMIT. What I think we all have in common is a shared passion for visual novels and literature, and advocating non-traditional narrative formats.
So what makes a game Game of the Year worthy? It's definitely the number of fart jokes you can squeeze into a game. We have overcompensated for that because the other nominees had no fart jokes, and so I think we're definitely a shoe in there. But seriously, bringing a game ahead of schedule, on budget, with no crunch, and with a team that was both creatively and commercially successful, I think is an important factor, even though it's not part of the game itself. It's definitely what went into making the game. And we also just wanted to focus on fun. We wanted a game that you could play regardless of age, regardless of your abilities, and I think we succeeded with that. So for us, that's what's important, to make something that's fun, and hopefully 5 years from now people will still be playing the game and enjoying themselves, and we've now built a successful team in Melbourne that will continue on into 2021 and beyond, thanks to the success of this game. So for me, that's what made it Game of the Year.
And the 2020 AGDA for Game of the Year goes to... Moving Out from SMG Studios.
Hey, we're trying to record the Game of the Year acceptance speech. Okay. Thanks so much for the award. We're extremely happy and honoured. And shout out to all the parents working from home with kids. And congratulations to all the other nominees. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kerry, project lead here on the AGDAs. I just wanted to say a massive thank you to our judges. We had a record number of games submitted this year, so we had to form our biggest judging panel ever to judge them all. Every single game was judged by at least 3 of our judges, so we could get it down to the best of the best. And it was a hugely difficult process because the quality of the submissions was just so incredibly good. So thank you so much to our wonderful judging panel. Each and every single one of you put in a huge effort, and I want to make sure you all get recognised here tonight. Thank you to Adrian Webb, Alex Swords, Alex Donahue, Alison Walker, Cameron Lamb, Cassandra Gray, Chris Doxey, Chris Davey, Chris Inglist, David Milner, David Doe, Edmund Trand, Gemma Driscoll, Harry Kaluri, Jack Wilson, Jane Cox, Jason Imms, Jessica Zammett, Ginny Maxwell, Joey Egger, John Cartwright, Kevin Pankin, Laura Crawford, Lewis Mitchell, Lacey Kane, Matt Schenkel, Nathan Thomas, Nick Healy, Nick McDonald, Nicole Archer, Nick Pantis, Oscar Armstrong Davies, Sam McCulley, Talia Celine, V. Pendergrast, and Ren Breyer. Thank you so much.
So that's our 2020 AGDAs coming to a close. Our first digital one, and we're hoping maybe the last time we have to do it digitally, and next year we'll all be together. I'd really like to thank Unreal Epic for sponsoring tonight and ensuring that we were able to make it happen. I'd really like to thank everybody who nominated, and unfortunately we couldn't have everyone as a winner because they were all so deserving. So, for our judges, thank you for the tough job you had. Congratulations to the winners. Jordan, thank you for entertaining us tonight and bringing us the AGDAs, and to Jack for pulling all the sound together for us. Lastly, I'd like to thank the IGA team. They've worked tirelessly over the last number of months to bring tonight together, and I'm sure you'll agree it's been a fantastic night. So for all the team, and I'm not going to name you individually because I'll get in trouble for getting your names in the wrong order, thank you deeply and sincerely from myself, the members and the board. Good night.